Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television. My name is Bilkisu Suleiman, welcoming you to Special Report. Seated here in those halls are stakeholders from different institutions and colleges for the 10th Joint Anniversary and National Conference of the Crop Science Society of Nigeria. The event has its theme, Renewed Hope for Sustainable Crop Production, Harnessing Science and Technology Innovation for Food Security and National Prosperity. Declaring the conference open, the Executive Secretary of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, ARCN, Dr. Abubakar Adamu Daban, commended the leadership of the society. He highlighted the society's contribution to the growth of crop production. He said, "These contributions have contributed meaningfully to the national growth for food security and sustainable agriculture."
This is a important opportunity to welcome you all to this remarkable gathering, the annual conference of the Crop Science of Nigeria, held alongside the celebration of Society's 10th anniversary. On behalf of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, I extend warm greetings and heartfelt congratulations to the leadership and members of the CSSN for a decade of contribution to advancement of crop sciences and agricultural research in Nigeria. Over the past 10 years, the Crop Science Society of Nigeria has distinguished itself as a critical platform for knowledge exchange, research, dissemination, and policy advocacy in field of crop production and protection. Your efforts have not only strengthened our scientific base, but have also contributed meaningfully to the broader goals of national food security, climate resilience, sustainable agricultural development. As the ARCN, we remain proud partner of this mission. As the coordinating body for the National Agricultural Research System, we recognize the indispensable rules of socialized societies like this in generating evidence-based innovation that address the real-world challenges faced by Nigerian farmers. Your work support our collective pursuit of a more productive, resilient, and inclusive agricultural sector. This year's conference time, Renewed Hope for Sustainable Crop Agriculture, Harnessing Sciences, Technology, and Innovation for Food Security and National Prosperity, is both timely and thought-provoking. It reminds us of the pressing needs to bridge scientific research with practical solutions that reach farmers and agro-business across the country. Let us seize this opportunity to deepen our collaboration, to foster membership of young societies, and to advocate for greater investment in agricultural research and development. As we celebrate the achievement of this past decade, let us also look ahead with renewed commitment. The next 10 years will demand even more innovation, more collaboration, and more courage, especially in the face of global challenges such as climate change, food insecurity, and economic instability. I commend this organizer for putting together this important event and wish you fruitful deliberation, impactful networking, and a memorable anniversary celebration.
Also speaking at the event, the President, Crop Science Society of Nigeria, Professor Michael Ifeanyi Unguru, congratulated members on its 10th anniversary. He said, "The global food crisis have hit the country hard. Hence, food prices have soared up and communities are at the verge of experiencing food shortages."
This year's conference is unique and special because it marks the 10th year of the existence of the society. The entire members of our great society are delighted and profoundly grateful to the Council for hosting this year's 10th anniversary, the 10th conference and anniversary of the society. We are happy to celebrate and rejoice our existence as a society in Abuja, the national capital city. You did not only approve to host the conference, you did not only provide your facilities for our use, but you have also spent some time to be physically present in our opening ceremony. We are sincerely grateful. current global food crisis has hit our country hard. Food prices have soared and communities were at the verge of experiencing acute food shortages. There were discernible signs of starvation and malnutrition in Nigeria until the government intervened with the import duty-free policy on grains like rice and wheat. Although this policy provided some succor by pushing down prices of food, its effect is very temporary and there are serious implications on local food production. A better approach would have been to finance or subsidize local production to the advantage of the economy. To the ignorant, this policy should receive an applause, but the devastating consequences will emerge with time in form of empty farms, unemployment, and accelerated inflation. Honestly, with that, if that policy is not looked at as quickly as possible and find a way to encourage our production, you see that many farmers will abandon crop production. Because you can imagine somebody producing rice with maybe 5,000 per 50 kg bag. And you open your shores, open your borders, and because of subsidy in those countries, the same bag of rice will come in and we go for 3,500 naira. So you frustrate the local production, and the farmers will also be frustrated out. So it is important that we will emphasize local production, can give subsidy. We should find a way to encourage our farmers. It is time to consider an improvement in our agricultural production processes. It is time to move away from the peasantry and low-input agriculture to a more advanced form of production involving the application of science and technology. Thus, the theme of this year's conference, Renewed Hope for Sustainable Crop Agriculture, harnessing science, technology, and innovation for food security and national prosperity, is apt and tangential to the development of Nigerian agriculture. Research papers on new agricultural technologies tailored towards improving crop yield per unit area will be presented during the conference. Government agencies, researchers, and farmers will benefit from such research works. The representatives of the relevant government institutions should harness the wealth of knowledge that will be shared during the technical session. That the conference is being held at the Federal Capital Territory is an added advantage, as the decisions reached at the end of the conference will filter to the relevant authorities unhindered. That this society started with 12 members of the academic staff of the Department of Crop Science, University of Nigeria in Nsukka, under my leadership 10 years ago. Today, the society has become omnibus with more than 1,000 members. The society is very stable and has every potential to grow and expand. The society is occupying a vantage position because all roads now lead to agriculture. Her voice must be heard if the members organize themselves towards a common goal, that is, to grow our agricultural productivity. I admire the courage, doggedness, and hard work of the members of the LOC.
The national coordinator of the Rice Community of the West African States, RICOWAS project, highlighted the aim of the project. He said RICOWAS is aimed at improving and upscaling rice intensification in West Africa. He added that the project have trained 8,000 farmers on rice resilient production. Let's listen to him.
The RICOWAS project means scaling of project and climate resilient production practices in West Africa. The project substantially supported this Crop Science Society of Nigeria conference. Among the project work is stakeholder engagement. That's what gives us a window to support this conference. What the project is doing is promoting adoption of climate resilience rice production practices in West Africa. The project in Nigeria is being implemented by Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, and I happen to be the national coordinator of that project. We are approaching that project in 4 states. We are in Jigawa, we are in Gombe, we are in Nasarawa, we are in Niger State. And in that project, we have trained about 8,000 farmers on climate resilient production practices. Specifically, we train them on system of rice intensification. We also train them on how to produce organic fertilizer. We also train a number of farmers and local artisans on machineries, because we're trying to introduce innovative machineries whereby farmers can adopt. I think we fabricated a number of them, and we have been promoting those equipments among the farmers in our project intervention zones. In addition, also among the farmers we are able to train, we group them and we establish about 100 farmer groups. Those 100 farmer groups, they are specifically system of rice intensification farmers, not just rice farmers. We have registered them officially with authorities, and right now we are trying to link them with access to credit facilities, access to subsidies, among others. The project is still ongoing, because we began the project last year, 2024, and the project will be closed somewhere in 2027. This is what about the RICOWAS project, and we identify with this conference because crop science is talking about crop production. So we much more inclined to climate resilient production practices, which is the norm of the day.
In his part, Professor Awal Mansur Bindawa welcomed all to the event.
I would like to welcome all of us to this 10th conference of Crop Science Society of Nigeria. The President of Crop Science Society of Nigeria raised a very important issue, which actually has been bothering me. I'm sure it has been bothering most of you. The issue of food security and how it was maybe temporarily resolved by the government. Most of us are not only researchers, but we are also farmers. So I think the policy has hit all of us in that we produce crops, and now we definitely are going to produce at a loss. So I'm sure our discussion here will focus how do we advise the government to change this policy. It has helped maybe temporarily by importing food, but I'm sure in this country you have all the resources, we have the experts that can help produce crops more than enough even to export and then to achieve food security. And I'm sure in this meeting, in this conference, I'm sure there are many technologies that are going to be presented that will help to boost agriculture and food security in Nigeria. Therefore, once again, I would like to welcome all of us, and hope all the presenters will be ready to present their new innovations, and these innovations, I'm sure, will help achieve food security in Nigeria. And not only is it not easy, the executive secretary said he's going to even host us next year. And it's unusual. It's unusual because it is heavy activity, heavy commitment. I think I remembered only this type of situation only once. At Bayero University, Kano, there was a time we hosted the Deans of Agriculture, and the Dean, the Vice Chancellor at that time said yes, we have welcomed you this year, but please next time you come. So it's not usual actually. So we thank the yes. I would like to also thank the LOC for organizing this conference for the hard work.
The guest speaker, in his presentation on crops, agriculture and food security in Nigeria, gave insight on ways to bring back the glory of the agricultural sector. Let's also listen to him.
Today I am delighted and fulfilled that we are gathered here to mark and celebrate the 10th anniversary of our great society. We give all the glory to our Creator. Congratulations on our 10th anniversary. I'm sure with the responsibility of speaking on the topic crop agriculture and food security in Nigeria. In truth, this topic would not have been more appropriate and timely than now. That food production and security, self-sufficiency, nutritional imbalances and environmental protection based on sound agricultural practices and technologies are topical issues. In order to really appreciate the title of this lecture, that is crop agriculture and food security in Nigeria, it is imperative to briefly explain the keywords embedded in the title of this lecture. Most so, at least I believe so, because there may be participants whose background is not crop science or even agriculture. On the basis of this, I wish to explain that agriculture in summary is an art, science, and industry involving the husbandry of plants to crops and animals for human utilization. In a broad sense, it includes cultivation and managing of soil, growing and harvesting of crops, breeding and raising crops, dairying, fisheries, forestry, processing, and nutrition, amongst others. The question then is, what then constitutes a crop? Truly, all crops are plants, but not all plants are crops. Simple. You look at it, we see it later in table 1. In other words, plants are found naturally in the environment, whereas crops are grown economically, according to human use. Let us take a look at the differences between crops and plants. Next. Now, if you look at the definition, simply crops are plants used commercially and are grown in large quantity, and the reverse is for plants. All crops are domesticated plants. The reverse is for plants. Crops are grown according to human use. Of course, their importance, which I have stated there very clearly. But importantly, I want us to have one or two take away. A wild oil palm tree, for instance, in your backyard, is a plant. Yes, it's a plant. But a field full of oil palm trees planted and grown to sell oil palm for profit is an oil palm crop. That's pure eating. Therefore, the key is the intentional cultivation and economic value that a plant gains when it becomes a crop. Concept of food security and food insecurity. Because we must know what food security is in order to be able to distinguish if we have the reverse. It is good to have an idea of what constitutes food security, which has been widely discussed and previously defined in policy and research discourse, so as to know the sharp contrast between food security and food insecurity. The definition of food security is that it must carry 4 pillars. And what are those pillars? 1, there must be availability. 2, there must be access. 3, there must be utilization. And 4, there must be stability. So any situation you see in your country or your community that have not been able to fulfill those 4 pillars of accessibility, availability, and all that, know that you are already facing food insecurity. Crop agriculture contributes significantly to Nigeria's economy in diverse ways. I'm just going to highlight it because of time. Number 1 is cross-domestic products. That it creates employment. Of course, crop agriculture has done well in the area of food security, which can reduce national security. Crop agriculture also encourages economic diversification and export. There's no doubt about that. A lot of earnings, foreign exchange earnings, had come from agriculture, right from the inception of this nation. Of course, it also plays a role in livelihood and rural development. Those of us who are from rural area, I'm not talking about you, I'm from a rural area. Agriculture is the backbone of the economy in rural areas, where a large proportion of the population lives, and providing means of sustenance and the livelihood. Of course, it also provides a value chain. Those who buy, for example, cassava to process, buy rice to process, they also add to it. Now, truly, there have been a lot of global concerns about food security, globally, including Nigeria. So the issue of food insecurity has been of global concern and equally discussed in many fora. Crop production in Nigeria is challenged by a combination of factors, including but not limited to poor cultural practices. I'm just checking the headings. Flooding is a problem. Pest and disease, those ones have been as old as farming itself. Crop farmers, either through bandit conflict, and these have a lot of implications. For example, ongoing security challenges, including banditry and farmer-header conflict, disrupt farming activities, particularly in the north and other regions, leading to reduced yield and productivity. In some areas, bandits destroy and consume large portions of cultivated crops, leading to severe financial losses to farmers. The destruction of crops lead to food shortages and negatively impact the nation's food supply. In fact, it's almost taking the entire country now. What I said is not too much in the north, it's almost central. Part of our country in the south side and the south east also face similar challenges, security challenges. So we must wake up early and see how we can reverse this. I don't want to talk about climate change and shock that has dealt us a lot of blow. The figure 3 you are seeing there is a destruction, unless destruction by either bandits or headers. Those are maize crops that were mowed down prematurely. I am sure that the farmer who owns this land may not become encouraged to go back and do farming. This has contributed to where we have found ourselves. The other things, economic hardship, food insecurity, funding and financing. We cannot run away from the fact that farmers need to be funded. Funded in many ways. One, you need to have a land, because without land is central to crop production. Without a land, either you buy or you lease or whatever, you cannot go for. That's why I'm saying that funding and financing is important, including purchase of input. And besides, I am of the opinion that the budget allocated for crop production or agriculture generally is low. Something has to be done about it. But even when it's low, the other danger is that the releases of even the low budget at times will be very difficult. We need to look at that. Industrialization and urbanization have led to a shrinking of arable crops. Of course, that's very arable land rather. That's very important, because some people don't even take into consideration. Build this house here. They don't know whether that place could be more useful for crop production. All they need is to build. And I want to also say this, that we have also not looked at soil capability assessment and soil testing, which is a factor. Because we are not growing crops in the air. We are growing in the soil. And therefore, when you are acquiring a land for agricultural purpose, particularly for crop production, you must get a land that can sustain you. Don't go for marginal land. Because if you go for marginal land, you can't go far. I will talk about that a little much later. But in addition, even when you have that land, they need to have an idea of the constituent in the soil in terms of nutrients. And you can only do that by testing. I am of the opinion that we still need to look at infrastructure and technology as a way to give leverage to farmers. And then, of course, try to bridge the gap between policy development and implementation. We have the natural endowment and the potential to come out of this wallow of food insecurity. We have stayed in that wallow for too long. We have to come out of it. The country covers 92.4 million hectares. Of course, Israel doesn't have that. Many others, they don't have that. And 3% of the population live in a rural area. Now, Nigeria's agricultural area, I'm talking about arable crop, is 70.8 million hectares. And so definitely we have no reason to fail to feed ourselves or to have food reliance. The soil is so good that even if you grow crops on top of the rocks, as you will see, they can do well. They can perform well on top of rocks. Adoption of cropping system, appropriate cropping system is important. At times people combine crops that are not compatible. You must get crops that are compatible. We're looking at the architecture, arrangement of leaves and all that, and then their contribution and utilization of nutrient in the soil. You look at that as basis. Because our people still need mixed cropping. There's no way they like it. Because they need a little of pepper, a little of okra. Am I right? They need that. So we must fashion in a manner that whatever crop combination we need to have must be that one is compatible. But truly, we cannot also run away from soil crops, particularly if we are going to use mechanization and maybe use a very large area of land for that purpose. I have taken you through how Crop Science Society of Nigeria came into existence. I've also told you what crop agriculture is about, its contribution to the nation. I've talked about food insecurity issues, what past government have done, why our nation still finds ourselves where it is today, and that we have the potential through resources that can guarantee food security for ourselves, for our household, and for our nation.
On that note, we've come to the end of this special report. My name is Bilkisu Suleiman. Thank you for watching.